Hey y'all. Michaela is one of our students that's been in the Cornerstone Financial Guidance classes lately, and she sent in some questions for us. Hey, very good questions, by the way. One of her stewardship questions is: you discussed not only giving our treasures back to God, but also giving our time and talents. Which do you believe is more important? What does the Bible say about this? A couple of different things is as far as which is more important. The Bible is silent on that particular question, but remember what we talked about is if you are giving your whole life to Christ, then that's what we call whole life stewardship, and that means everything you do, your treasures, your time, your ability, all of that is important. And we centered that around verse 1 Corinthians 10:31. Whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do it all for the glory of God. And so that encompasses everything about your life. As far as your time, you can refer back to James 4:14. In fact, I was going to read that. James 4:13 and 14 says, "Come now, you who say, today or tomorrow we will travel to such and such a city and spend a year there and do business and make a profit. Yet you do not know what tomorrow will bring, what your life will be, for you are like a vapor that appears for a little while, then vanishes." And then Ephesians chapter 5, verse 16 says, to make the most of every opportunity. Also, looking at as far as your abilities, your talents, your availability, you can look at 1 Peter 4:10. As each has received a gift, use it to serve one another as good stewards of God's varied grace. Now, all that is to say that, and what you're hitting on, Michaela, is this is something we're going to be talking about in our next session, is knowing to do good and not do it. In fact, going back to James chapter 4, James 4:17 says, "So it is sin to know the good and yet not do it." And that's what we're going to be talking about next week is having the ability, having the time, having the talents, having the treasures, and seeing a need and not acting on that is a form of sin. Now, Michaela's second question, which is a great question. Also, I had a question that I forgot to ask on Wednesday. Do you have a specific way of planning things out when it comes to saving for big things, like a car, going on a Disney vacation? What ways do you set those goals for yourself and see your progress? So, Michaela, in those cases, big purchases like a car or a vacation, I do what we call prorating. Figure out how much I need to save for and when that's going to be. So, like, we're planning a Disney trip March of next year. And so basically, we try to figure out what we think we're going to need for that trip. And then we back up and we say, okay, well, we've got 9 months until that trip. So we divide that out in by 9. And so each month we're paying 1/9 into an envelope basically to save up for that trip. Or like when we were saving up for Grant and Connor's cars, we knew each car cost roughly around the $7,000 mark. We knew that that's how much we had to save for. So every month, in each case, it was about a 2-year savings plan. So every month for 2 years, we just divided that out and said 7,000 divided by 24, and we were putting that amount in the envelope each month to save up that amount. So basically, when you're saving up for a big item like that, it's about how much you think you're going to need for it and how much time, and then just prorating that out, spacing it out so that you can save it. And Amy and I, we use the envelope system. We keep an envelope with that money locked up in a safe. And so, great questions. Thank you so much for submitting those. And if you have any more questions, please submit them.